Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Abby, and I am going to be your host for today. Today, we're going to be covering number 5 in the data management series, which is all about deleting records such as customers, suppliers, and nominals. Today's session is booked out for around 45 minutes, but we may get through the steps sooner. So then you may get some time back today. It just depends on how many questions we have outstanding at the end. We also have Matt on hand today to answer your questions, but I will also try my best to answer them as I go along in the session. So like every session, just a little bit of housekeeping. So when you join, you will be placed on mute automatically. If you wish to ask any questions, then you can use the questions panel down the right-hand side. And it's just that little icon that looks like a speech bubble with a question mark in the middle. That's going to open up the panel. And then you can pop your questions in the little white box. And then just make sure that you do press that send button to send it across to me and Matt. There is also a handout available for you to download. And it's just clicking on that icon that looks like a little document with a folded corner. We always recommend to download these handouts as they always have helpful links to some resources on there as well. And it just means that as we go along, you can make some notes on those handouts as well. Just a reminder, this webinar and every webinar is recorded. It is going to be included in your follow-up email, and that email will get to you around an hour after the session has ended. So if you do need to revisit any parts, you can watch that at your own leisure and at your own pace as well. In that follow-up email, you're also going to include links to the registration page. So if you want to get registered for future webinars, but also as well, it's going to include a link that's going to take you to where you can watch other recorded sessions as well. So not just about this topic. Okay, so just before we get stuck into the session, just want a reminder about the data management badge. So to earn your digital badge, you have to attend 5 out of the 7 topics and the quiz to be able to earn your digital badge. Make sure that you are using the same email address as well so that we can count those attendance. So like I say, as you can see, we've got a lot of sessions. So we've got backing up, data management tool, company archives, clear audit trail, deleting customers, basically suppliers, nominals and banks, clearing stock transactions and products, and then flagging records as inactive to hide them from your lists. And then lastly, we'll test your knowledge. You don't have to get all the answers right on the quiz. It's just your attendance that counts. So if you do have your handout downloaded as well, in your bottom right of your handout, you've got register now. That'll take you to where you can register for the other sessions as well. Okay, so this is what we're going to be covering on today's session. So we're going to start with why should I clear out my records? We'll then delve into deleting customers, suppliers, nominal codes. And then towards the end of the session, we'll look at compressing your data once you've deleted those records. Well, then towards the end, I'll summarize the session and then we'll look at further support and pick up any last questions as well. Just before we begin, I just want to launch a poll on your screen there. And I'm just wanting to know, have you previously attended or viewed our Clear Audit Trail session? Doesn't have to be the badging session that we did yesterday. It can just be one that we've done in the past because we have done Clear Audit Trail webinars before. So I'm just wanting to know what your answer is, just to get a little insight of where people's knowledges are at regarding this topic as well. So I can see our votes are coming in nice and quickly there. What we like to do is we like to wait till we get around 70–75%. And then what we do is we close the poll and we share the results with you as well. So I'll just give it a little bit longer for those who haven't yet voted. Don't worry if you haven't attended Clear Audit Trail. I am going to do a very brief Clear Audit Trail process. So you do get to see it in action as well. But again, it's not going to be very detailed. Okay, so we got about 75%, so don't worry if you haven't voted. And I'll just share those results with you as well. So as you can see, 61% of you have previously attended a clear audit trail session, and 39% of you have not. So let's get stuck into the session, and we'll, like I say, we are going to do a very brief demonstration of that as well. So we'll hide that down, and we'll get stuck in with why should I clear my records? So clearing data is an optional task, but it is recommended if you do a lot of processing. It ensures the data that you use day to day is up to date, and it makes it easier to locate information rather than trailing through decades worth of information. It can make searches and filters work more effectively, and it can speed up general processing in the software in some cases. Now, please note, if you are experiencing speed issues, please bear in mind there could be external environmental factors. So if you do have a large data set experiencing issues within your records in particular, it's always a good place to start. If you are unsure, you can contact our support team. Okay, so deleting customers, suppliers and nominal codes. So once a clear audit trail has been run, you can then delete records where their activity is clear. So you cannot delete any records that have activity. So hopefully you're familiar with the activity window. As you can see as on the example on the right there, it has to have no activity for you to be able to clear those records down. You can delete individual records by using the delete option along the top of the records window, or you can do it by highlighting multiple records in the list, and then you can choose delete along the top as well. And you can do that for multiple records in one go. Now, don't worry about trying to follow live on this session as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to include a guide in your handout where you can go through the steps at your own pace. So what we're actually going to do is we're just going to delve straight into demonstration today. So we're going to do some demonstration on quickly running the clear audit trail process, and then what it looks like when you come to delete your records and how you can identify quicker which records actually have activity and which ones don't. So we'll pop into my software. Okay, so now you might be wondering, well, I've not been at this company very long. I don't know if a clear audit trail has actually been ran in the past. So I'm going to show you where you can identify where, if one has been completed. So we'll pop into help and then about. And then in the about section under configuration information, which is the second section on the left-hand column. So we've got configuration information. And then here is the clear audit trail date. Now, the clear audit trail date, if it has NA, this means that there has been no clear audit trail that has been completed at all. If there is a date in there, the date that appears is the date that it was last cleared up to. Okay, so for example, if someone cleared, the date was in there like 31st of December 2016, that doesn't mean that it was completed on that date. That just means that that was the last date it was cleared up to. Okay, so last time the transactions, that's the date that the transactions were moved up to. Another thing to look out for as well, which if you attended Matt's session yesterday, always keep an eye on your splits, which is this number here, 1720. So that's your splits. The splits are the amount of lines that you have in your transactions module. So this one down here. So that's the amount of audit trail transactions that you have. So what we'll do now is we'll pop into customers, and I'm going to search. I've got a specific customer, sorry. I'm going to look for Simpson. So I've got Simpson's restaurant. So as you can see at the moment, I have a zero balance. So at first glance, you're going to go, well, I can delete that record. But if I open up that customer record, so I just highlight it and click activity, you can actually see, although I've got a zero balance for that customer, I have got some old invoices, or invoice rather, in a receipt on there from 2018. So that's been paid. So that's why the balance is, it's got no outstanding balance. But that won't let me delete that transaction. So if I try and, delete that record. So if I try and delete this record, I'm going to get a pop-up straight up. And these are the possible reasons. So there might be a balance, a transaction still associated with the account. It might be associated with a project, or it might have a direct debit mandate associated with the account as well. So it will tell you why, or the potential reasons why you can't delete it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to run a clear audit trail. So we're going to pop to tools. What I'll do is I'll clear that filter down. So we're going to pop to tools, period end, and we're going to go to clear audit trail. Now, do make sure that you take a backup before running this process. I can't stress enough how important it is to take a backup and take a company archive. Okay. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole, every single process. What I will do is I'll quickly take a backup just to be sure. Sometimes if you haven't taken, if you've taken a backup recently, it won't necessarily prompt you. So I'll take a quick backup now of my data. Usually when you go through the clear audit trail process, it'll take you through the backup, and then, but what you'll need to do is you will need to take an archive so that any transactions that are removed, you will have access, be able to access that outside of your live company. Again, we've done company archive sessions, and we are going to be doing repeats of this badge as well. So make sure you get registered for that session where we go into more detail about that. But the company archive will take a copy of your data, so then you can access it, such as like historical transactions. So anything that's going to be removed. So we pop back to tools, period end, clear audit trail. So it's given me the criteria, so it must be dated on or before. It's got to be fully paid, if applicable. It's got to be bank and VAT reconciled, if applicable. And it's got to be allocated to transactions meeting the same criteria, so payments to invoices. Now, it does recommend that you keep at least one financial year of live data. It's up to you how many years you keep in the software. I'm actually going to do 31st of December, and I'm going to clear it up to 2020. So I want to keep 5 years worth of data. You can also turn off bank rec, because that is obviously one of the flags. So here, bank rec is part of the criteria when you come to clear transactions down. If you don't bank reconcile in the software, there is the option at this point to turn off bank reconciliation for your bank account. So then that just means that it will ignore that flag if it needs to clear transactions down. So what we'll do now, so I've chose my date, so we're going to clear up until December 2020. I'm going to do the clear audit trail. As you can see, I didn't want to risk that pop-up not coming up. So as you can see, it will prompt you to back up your data. It won't prompt an archive, so you will have to do an archive separately, but do that before you go into the clear audit trail process. So we're going to click OK, just going to do a quick backup again, just to be sure. because it probably won't let me proceed without. So we'll do that back up again. And as you can see now, it's doing that clear audit trail process. You can see now it's cleared 716 transactions. So that's from the transactions module. So it doesn't, again, it's not going to delete customer records. It's not going to delete anything out of invoices and credits. It's not going to delete anything out of sales orders and purchase orders. That is a separate process. And that's why we've got this session on today. You can click to take view remove transactions. So I think Matt was checking yesterday if that's a one-time report. I'm pretty sure it is. So if you click view remove transactions, click OK. You can see now it's got a long list of all the audit trail transactions that have been deleted out of your transactions module. So you can save that, export it, whatever you need to do, email it. You can do that with that list. So I'm just going to close that down. Let's run the clear audit trail process. So click close. So if we go back into help and about, you can see now my splits have significantly reduced because it managed to remove 700 transactions from there. So if we pop back into customers, what I will do actually is back at the help and about page, I just want to show you as well that clear audit trail date. I forgot to mention that one. So as you can see now, before it said NA, now I've got that date and it's got the date that I last ran it up to, not the date that I did it. So now we'll pop into customers, we'll search for that customer again, we'll run the activity, and you can see now those transactions have now since been cleared. So that's just one customer, but I might have, I want to look at how many customers have no longer got an activity, so then I can quickly delete them out of the software. So what you can do is you can apply a filter. So we'll apply a filter. You go where, we'll do balance is 0. That's now taken me down to 19 records of 57. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run an activity report, because this is the only way that you can see a quicker way to see, rather than going in each individual record, looking at the activity. You can run this report and it'll be just a little bit easier just to scan through, and you'll see what I mean when I come to run it. When you come to run this report, just make sure that you don't have any of the records selected. Click report. You can either go down to customer activity or you can search for it. So this is the report finder. It's a relatively new feature. So we'll do customer activity. I'll search for that. Again, if you know where the reports are, it might be a bit quicker, but we can also do the customer activity. So I'm just going to run the customer activity summary. So I'm going to go into the detailed one. I just want to make sure that they've got no activity. So we'll run customer activity summary. We'll preview it. Going to run it for all time. Again, you might just want to run it up to the date that you ran it up to. So it might be want to run it to the 31st of the 12th, 2020. So then what you can do, I've got 2 pages, because obviously I don't have that many records, but at least it'll show you any of those customers that have anything. You want to make sure that all the records have been cleared up to that date. So once you've checked all of that, what you can do is, if you've got some that do have customer activity, make a note of them so you know you can't delete those, even if it would flag to you that there's a reason why the record hasn't been deleted. Again, if you wanted to export this, you can email it, whatever. So we'll close that down. We know none of these customers have got activity anymore. So you can click swap, going to highlight all of those and then just click delete. Again, if you've got a significant amount of customers that you need to delete, you know, it might take a little bit longer if you select them all in one go. So if you've got a huge list of customers, it might be worth just doing them in a little bit smaller sections so it doesn't, you know, so it deletes them a little bit quicker. So once you've cleared all those records, we're then going to clear the filter. And you can now see I've got all records, so now I've got 38 customers in total instead. Again, the steps are exactly the same for your suppliers, your bank, your nominal codes. So suppliers, you would come in here, you want to filter where, we'll do balance again, equal to 0. Okay, so we're then going to run a report. Then you've got the supplier activity. Make sure that you are running the supplier activity and not the one excluding no transactions, obviously, because we want to identify if it's got transactions on there. So we'll run the supplier activity, click preview. Again, put that date in. Okay, so got some really good questions coming in here as well. I'm going to pick these up in just a moment. But as you can see, we've got that supplier activity report, exactly the same steps. Okay, I've identified none of these have got any transactions. So then I can go ahead and then delete these out as well. So the questions that have come in there, I just want to pick these up whilst we're in here. So a question there from Gavin, is it possible to hide rather than delete? So yes, you can. And it's something called inactive records. And that is another badging session. I'm not going to go into detail, as that is another session that we're going to be covering on how to mark a record as inactive. And then what you can do is you can filter out the inactive records. I don't think I've got any inactive at the moment. But marking them as inactive means that it comes to the answering as well. Virginia's question, if you delete a customer record, can it be reinstated? No, you would have to recreate this record as a new customer. So maybe it's using inactive records. If you don't want to delete them, you can mark them inactive, filter out the inactive records using this option here. And then if they need to be reinstated, that existing customer is still there, it's just hidden out of view. Just think of it as another filter. We've got a question there as well. Can you explain what splits within help and about mean? So what this means, Louise, is that when we're talking about splits, the splits is in the transaction. So if we go to the transactions module, every single line in this module is a split. Okay, so if you delete, when you run the clear audit trail, what that does is that deletes any transactions. So if we pop back to the top, I'm probably going to have some still there that haven't met the criteria for whatever reason. But when you run a clear audit trail, what it does is it'll delete these splits, individual splits here. So that's what we're talking about. And then when we go, we're talking about going into help and about and checking your splits. Just check, the number before and the number after. So I hope that makes that a little bit clearer. So like I say, we've done the, you can then come in here, delete the records that you no longer need. You know that these, because you've got a filter on, you've checked the activity report, you know that these no longer have any activity on them. So delete, yes. For whatever reason, if it can't be deleted, there will be a pop-up. And it will delete the other ones still that can be deleted, and the ones that can't be deleted will remain in the list. Just remember, to remove the filter so you don't think all your records have disappeared. So then you can come back and you've got your remaining records that are applicable. Again, same with bank accounts. Check your balance. Your balance might be zero, but you still want to be checking that activity to make sure that it is clear. For nominal codes, now in version 29 it was introduced that you have a filter in the nominal codes as well. So the same steps apply for customers and suppliers in your bank. Obviously bank you can't apply filter, but nominal codes, it has been introduced. So if you're in version 29 or above, again, filter where balance is equal to 0, apply, and then same steps, reports, nominal activity, and then you run that nominal activity report again. So we'll just run that again. Now you can see here, this is a really good example, so I close that down. Now I've run this activity and all of these nominal codes on here have got a 0 balance. But if we look at nominal code 1205, you can see we've got some activity on here, despite we've got some opening balances. So these are potentially ones that, as you can see, haven't been cleared down, and there's a reason for that. So that's where you would need to do your investigation as to why. Again, all of that was covered in Matt's session yesterday on the clear audit trail. So then what you can do is you make a note of the ones that have activity. So you might want to be coming into here. So you've got one there, accessories, 5320. We've got some old historical transactions. So what we'll do is we'll look for that one. So 5320. If I try and delete that, let's see what happens. And there we go. So you're always going to get a pop-up if there's a reason why. It's just a case of identifying what is the reason. But again, in the inactive session, you will be taken through on how you can make records inactive and how you can hide those from the filter as well. So a question there from Claire, in suppliers, what do I choose on the filter to be able to input a date? So let's have a look in here. So in terms of date, it's not going to show activity in here. So you can't show by date and like individual transactions. That's what the activity report is for. So what you would do is you'd be filtering by the balance. So we'll do it again. Filter by the balance equal to, and then the balance is 0, which we don't no longer have because I cleared those down. But then what you would do is then you would run your report. So your supplier reports, supplier activity report, sorry. And it's at this point you would enter your date. So when you come to the supplier activity summary, then enter your date that you've cleared up to. So mine was the 31st of December 2020. So then anything before then, you want to make sure you've got no activity on those records, and because those are the transactions that you've cleared down. So it's on the activity report you want to be entering the date, not necessarily the filter when you're actually filtering your records like your suppliers or your customers. Question there from Angela. Is there a session on viewing archives transactions? So we have just done this session earlier this week on how to run a company archive. So again, we are going to be repeating these sessions. It might be worth attending those. Alternatively, obviously, if you watch a recording, it's not going to earn you a digital badge, unfortunately. But you can watch a recording on how to archive or run an archive on your company, and then it looks at how you can view those transactions as well. Okay, so What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop back to my slides and we'll look at the next step once you've cleared your records, which is compressing your data. So once you've deleted your records, in order to reduce the size of your actual data files in the background, you must compress the data. So we're going to go through those steps today. So you can find this option by going to File, Maintenance and Compress Data. Again, we are going to be going through these steps in just a moment, but I just want to give you a little bit more information. So if you delete a record from your list, so your records, it does not reduce until the relevant ledger is compressed. Okay, so you want to also always ensure that you have an error-free backup prior to running this routine. Error-free is very important. Again, if you're regularly maintaining your data, checking your data, and then you should know, when these, that you should have an error-free backup. So what I'll do now is I'll pop back over to the software and we'll have a look at the compressing the data steps. So we'll pop over to my Sage again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to File in the top left. We're going to go down to Maintenance. And then in the very top right, you've got compressed data. So it says here, if you've previously deleted large amounts of data, run this option to reclaim disk space used by deleted records. So we'll click compress data. You want to untick compress all data files. So we don't want to do it to every section. What we want to do is you only want to compress the areas where you have deleted records. Okay, so I deleted customers and I deleted suppliers. So I want to compress my sales ledger and my purchase ledger. If you deleted bank accounts or nominal codes, then you also want to be selecting those as well. You only want to be compressing the areas that you have deleted information from. So we've got the sales ledger and the purchase ledger ticked. Then we're then going to click compress. Data compression complete. Click OK, and that is it completed. That's it done. Again, this option is it is optional. You don't have to compress your data, but if you want to reclaim that space that your data has taken up on your machine, then we do recommend to do this after you've cleared your records. Might be worth waiting until you've done, you've cleared your customers, your suppliers, your nominals, but also as well if you've cleared invoices, stock, your products, that sort of thing. You want to wait until you've done all of those. Then it'll be helpful to do that once you've done all of those steps. Okay, question coming there from Lisa. What happens if you tick compression areas where there were no deletions? So nothing should happen, but that's why we always recommend you take a backup when running these sorts of steps. Your big processes, compressing, clearing audit trail, running your year-end, VAT return, all those big processes, always take a backup because there could be environmental factors in the background, cause the program to crash, and it could corrupt your data. So that's why we always recommend take a backup before you run any of these steps, just in case. Okay, so I'm going to pop back to my slides. And we'll summarize the session. So clearing your records is an optional task. Clearing older data may allow you to work more efficiently. Always take a full backup and ensure you have an archive prior to clearing records. So questions just come there from Angie there. Do I need to archive data before clearing records? Yes, there's your answer. Always take a full backup and ensure you have an archive prior to clearing records. And the reason for that is because if you get audited or HMRC ask for some sort of information, you need to go back to some data that no longer exists in the live data. You can go back to your company archive and you can access that information without having to take an old backup and restore over live data or anything like that. And, you know, risk management. You've got that company archive, use it. It's really important to be able to view your historical data. You can run reports in it if you need to run an old report for a prior financial year. I definitely recommend checking out the company archive session. Records will only clear if they meet a certain criteria. If you can't remove an item, an alternative way may be to mark the records as inactive, as we've already discussed. Lastly, compressing the data reclaims disk space on your computer. Again, that is optional as well. Okay, we do recommend it to reclaim that disk space, but you don't have to do it. So questions in there coming in from Angela. Can I just confirm that you should back up, archive, clear records, and then compress? Perfect. Exactly the right thing to do. So glad that we're hitting the nail on the head with that one. So fantastic. You're absolutely right there, Angela. Okay, so to find out more, we have some guides here. So we've got the clear audit trail process. That will also have links to backing up and the archive process within that guide as well. So all the steps are going to be there for you to do. We've also provided a guide on deleting records and how to compress your data. Okay, so last questions to answer. So if you've got any further questions, please do pop them through now so that me and Matt can pick these up before we wrap up the session. Question just coming there for Mario. If an archive was created in a previous version of Sage, is it still loadable? Yes, it will convert to your latest version that you are in. So don't worry if they are in older versions. You might not realise that company archives have been taken. Every time you run the year end, an archive is taken unless the option is unticked. Just have a look to see if there's any further questions that we haven't covered yet. I think we've been pretty much on top of them, which is great. Okay, so just while we wait for any further questions to come through, just want to remind you about the webinars for Sage 50 accounts and for Sage 50 payroll. You can access it via your emails. When we send out the follow-up emails, we always include a registration page link. Alternatively, you can visit sage.co.uk/webinars and you can find all the live sessions for 50 accounts and payroll. And you can also view them for recordings as well. So I've got the links for the recordings as well. Okay, so you're going to get 6 minutes back today. So that brings us to the end of today's session. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. You are going to see a short survey at the end. If you could please let me know any comments about today, specifically about this topic, what you liked about today's session, what you would have liked to have seen. You know, we're always looking for ways to improve, and I do like to read every single comment on there as well. So if you can write a short comment, a long comment, either or, anything is appreciated. Okay, so all the questions seem to have been answered. So I want to say thank you to Matt, who's been on hand today, who's been a very busybody today, answering all these questions that have come through. I want to thank you to you all for your participation today as well. And just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.